My name is Steven LoBue, and I'm a professional cliff diver. I started cliff diving in right around 2010. I didn't get real serious until 2011, so this is going on my 5th year now. The Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series is pretty amazing as far as an event goes. It's nice to have a company who's willing to give us a medium for us to perform our art, so to say. So they do a great job of setting up the event and promoting the event, and it gives us a place to do what we love. So just in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, or 2013, FINA adopted high diving officially as another discipline, which is really, really exciting, and we feel that that is the steps that need to be taken in order to get the sport on an Olympic track. So we've had 1 FINA World Championship so far and 2 FINA World Cups, and we're looking forward to the 2015 World Championships in Kazan, Russia. We're really fortunate, actually, just the places that we get to travel, just the most exotic locations you could think of. My personal favorites are probably Thailand, and the Amalfi Coast, Italy is just absolutely beautiful. So I would say between Thailand and Italy. La Rochelle, France is definitely a special venue. Not only are we diving off just like a historic castle, it's awesome to be in that location. But one of the awesome things about that place is that there's 75,000 people that show up to watch, which is, you know, a giant football game, so to speak, you know, as far as crowd goes. So that's really something that excites us and we look forward to, because in traditional diving you're not seeing crowds that big and it's very quiet. So what we do is a very, very different atmosphere, but it's exciting. It's exciting for the sport. So when I was in France, I made a pretty awful mistake, and I ended up hitting my face on the platform, which is never a good spot to be. I remember it was a little bit cold, little tiny bit windy, and I remember standing there thinking, just telling myself to relax, and I felt pretty good. And right when I took off and I started moving in the air, I thought maybe it was going to be a little bit close to the platform, and then sure enough, mid-dive, my face connected with the platform, and it definitely was one of those surreal experiences where I didn't even feel it or think about it until, you know, a couple minutes after it had happened. So I was fortunate enough to still maintain composure and do the rest of the dive. I completed all the rotations and twists needed to be done. And then, yeah, a good couple minutes after, I caught myself thinking, like, what did I just do? How did that even happen? So definitely a learning experience. There have been some unfortunate accidents where people have hit their head and unfortunately passed away. The way that I hit the platform could have done some damage to my neck, but you know, a lot of the guys that have passed away or have had very serious injuries have hit the back of their head on the platform. And I was twisting, so as I came by the platform, it was more of like a pop and scrape. It wasn't quite bending the neck too much, and so I was just very, very fortunate to come away walking after I hit. Training is always really interesting for our sport. So I'm here in Fort Lauderdale at the Hall of Fame pool, and a lot of my friends are out in LA at USC. And the biggest thing is you have to break the dive into parts. So we're diving from 27 meters, which is almost 3 times the height of an Olympic platform. So you have to imagine the dive in sections. You know, the takeoff, the majority of your flips and twists, and then you have a control phase where you'll do your finishing move, which is usually a front flip half twist, or some guys do what's called a blind entry, where they flip over and land on their feet without seeing the water. So on 10 meter, it's just important to break down the dive and know that you're doing, for example, 2 flips and 3.5 twists from 10 meter, and then you know you have 17 meters left to turn over and do the control move. So if you think about just taking 1 rep at a time, maybe this rep I'm really thinking about flipping and twisting, and then the next rep I'm just going to do the finishing move. And so maybe over 2 or 3 repetitions you'll put together the whole dive, and then it's just a job of being mentally strong enough to put the dive together in your head and know that it'll be there when you're up on the 27-meter platform. Acapulco, to be honest, scares the crap out of me. That's one of those places where even the guys that I dive with have been, and some have done really well. But something about that place, just knowing that I have to jump out, which is not one of my strong suits as it is, it's just a little bit scary to me. And I've heard horror stories of guys getting really, really, really close, and it just doesn't really interest me. Competition height is usually set between, I think, 26.5 and 28 meters. So we usually stay right around those ranges. I've been up to 29 meters, which is not too much higher, so about 100 feet. You know, it's interesting, the sport a long time ago, not even a long time ago, in the 80s when Wide World of Sports was covering it, one of the goals was to see, you know, how high you could go, and guys were doing dives from different levels at 140, 150 feet, which is, I mean, to me, that's just nuts. I think we're really focused on the diving aspect, the flips and how many flips and twists can we get done still and maintain control, like within a safe limit. You know, just going up too high doesn't really interest me.
Well, thanks a lot for coming by and talking to us.
I really appreciate you having me.